Okay, this video is about SEO and how it pertains to you're planning your PPC strategy or the other way around, vice versa. What I'm going to do for you today on today's video is explain basically what you should do if you had, for instance, a PPC agency that had taken over your PPC or to start a PPC campaign for you, and you were prior doing PPC and SEO together as a package, like let's say at your old firm, or just didn't know what to do first, your PPC or SEO, or what to focus on. This video is going to explain that to you as far as what I've seen, how PPC and SEO work together, and when you do PPC, how your SEO turns out, and why you should basically use PPC first versus SEO. So anyway, in any case, I run a PPC firm, but because of that, though, I'm not against SEO. There's certainly always a place for it. It's just in the order of things, you should usually do SEO after, and I'm going to explain why, and add it in later as a part of your strategy. But basically, and I have several reasons I'm going to go through here why and explain why you should usually add SEO as a part of your marketing strategy later on in your planning and doing the scaling up of your business through your marketing tactics. Which the first one is, so basically, starting out, SEO and PPC, usually if you're going to hire a firm, or even if you have to do the work, it takes a lot of money to be able to do both. And so if you only have several $1,000s a month to start out with for your marketing budget for this, PPC is going to work faster. Long term, the ROI could be certainly greater with SEO, but for the most part, anybody that I talk to starting out would rather have a smaller return faster than a bigger return later on. And then, of course, you can scale a PPC campaign. So therefore, it makes more sense just for that reason for most people to start out with PPC. But apart from that, in terms of, though, getting an SEO strategy to work, there's several things that you have to have in place, even if you do hire an SEO company that knows what they're doing and they're competent, which in order to play to the algorithm that Google has, Google's search ranking algorithm is similar to Google's ad serving algorithm and their quality score system to determine if an ad should be even placed on their search engine for users' experience. It works pretty much the same way as the organic search ranking system. So in that, with that though, in terms of one thing that Google does for organic versus PPC is they want to see a site be authoritative in order to rank a website for a particular keyword. And so basically it comes down to that mantra, you only get the traffic if you don't need it. And so basically what you're trying to do, and if you're starting out from zero or little and you're trying to get organic to work, it's tough because you don't have any authority yet. Whereas if you turn on your ads or get a strategy to actually work and you can scale it up, the SEO gets way easier. Usually to the point where I've seen if you spend $10,000 a month on PPC, your SEO goes quite well and without any extra work at all. So that should probably be your goal, first of all. You can certainly add to it if you do some deliberate things on the SEO side, but just letting you know from my previous experience, and that also carries to places like Amazon. You run paid ads there, your organic gets better, basically because you're on the company's side at that point. If you run ads through Google, Google wants to give you free traffic because they know most people track their advertising investment by asking their customers where they came from, which they then say Google most of the time. So in that point, Google's customer can't tell if their customer came in from PPC or organic, so therefore they're more likely to keep the paid going versus quote unquote freeloaders who don't want to do paid. And so that's the reason why you should expect that if you pay 5 figures a month for their advertising, well, they'll give you more of your organic for that reason alone, but also because you're going to have more authority. They want to make sure who they're sending the traffic to is not a fly-by-night and aren't going to get a bad experience from Google, more established companies. So it makes sense. The third thing here is if you try to scale your company up on a base of only organic, the search ranking algorithm is highly volatile. You'll know by asking other people that's been around for a long time that if you do that, and all the staff that you have to have and overhead, all of a sudden, if your ranking is gone or heavily affected, that's going to put you at a loss right away, pretty much. So you should, it should more so, you should never expect to have your SEO working. It's great to have it, and it's great to try to have it, but you shouldn't have to rely on it, and certainly it shouldn't be more than half your business. That's a situation I've seen you do not want to be in. Many, many times people have done that, and it's been disaster. So, and PPC, of course, is very consistent once you get it working. The fourth thing is that I have here is the conversion rates on PPC versus SEO. It's a little bit misleading. The SEO organic stuff does convert better, but a lot of people, if they look at their stats, they think organic does better than PPC, so therefore they're only going to invest in that. And so what I suggest to you is to just consider that the people that come in from, it looks like if you're analyzing Google Analytics, and to see which one's bringing them more revenue or more leads, that from PPC, if you didn't know it or didn't think about it, basically when people click on the ads, and then as they're making their decision as to whether or not they're going to physically buy what you have, because if a product or service over $100, there's going to be a period of time between a week and 6 months where they're going to decide. When they do make a decision to come back and purchase, they're going to type your brand name in Google a lot of times and then purchase. So it's going to look like the organic did it, whereas the PPC did it. And so therefore, if you're going to analyze PPC versus SEO and do it, you should do it on a revenue basis, overall revenue basis, and you should do it by turning on and off one channel. Basically, if you could do it, if you really wanted to know, because that's how you'd be able to tell on mostly anything that's even moderately expensive if it works or not, because the channels work together. So the next thing is so most of the top PPC people out there anymore do follow what is called an SCAG, a keyword and ad model for building a search ad campaign there on Google, which is you have, for every single keyword you're bidding on, you have one ad. And so I take that one step further, and basically I have one keyword to one ad to one landing page, within reason, with some slight caveats there. Essentially, so if you're searching for a DUI lawyer and you search in a certain neighborhood that's near you and you're a DUI lawyer, give you an example from here in Phoenix, Chandler. If somebody types in DUI lawyer Chandler, and I also serve Chandler, I would want that on my ad for the person to click on it, but then also take them to a page that said, DUI lawyer in Phoenix, Chandler, so that we know and have Chandler the most prominent on that particular page that I set up just for that search term to get the highest conversion rate we can. That works really, really well, by the way, but as a byproduct of doing that, we have lots of pages that are perfectly designed to meet the user's needs for that particular term that then Google will find. When I'm doing PPC campaigns, a lot of times the landing pages we set up just for PPC, those will rank really, really well, as you can imagine. And so if you go through the process of actually doing that for PPC, which if you do it, due to just having more stuff in terms of strategy and the effort put in to make the PPC work, 90% of the time it will work if you just put the work in like that. You now have an organic strategy that's just there automatically for that reason as well. So, but along those lines, when you're trying to build a campaign that works, you're going to optimize the page for conversion, and if you do that, you find a page that converts and generates a profit from PPC, you're going to be able to know exactly what you need to rank organically in Google, so that when it shows up on the search results, that people don't bounce back, they get a good experience, and therefore your ranking will stick. And if not, you're wasting your time. And so why not figure that out with the paid ads? And along those same lines as well, the ranking algorithm is heavily reliant on click-through rate of your organic listing as well, too. So the meta tags, title tag, description, that ultimately helps you dictate what's showing up on your organic listing, and also determines if someone's going to click your organic listing. You can guess what you need to have there and just tell your SEO company or person that, what you want to show up there, or they can come up with it on their own, or you can use real data that you already have sitting around from your PPC campaign, which you can easily find out anything that's getting over a 5% click-through rate on Google search. If you use it there, probably will be able to do better than the other competition that's there on organic, which will then allow you to for sure maintain, but also rise up the rankings, because that's also how it works. The ranking algorithm nowadays, once you get on the first page, is really mostly comes down to the click-through rate and the conversion rate on your web page that's being ranked. So, and the final thing with that as well, in terms of the meta keywords, or the keywords that you have on the site, ultimately you'll have free data available to you on a working PPC strategy that tells you exactly what each keyword's worth, because you can do revenue tracking on your campaigns. Even if you do offline sales for your business, you can pipe that information back into your Google account, so you can see exactly what the ROI and revenue potential is for terms, and use the keywords that are, you find basically that are not obvious, that are less competitive and more profitable than most of the keywords, and then tell your SEO person to just rank those. And so, most of the people that have an SEO strategy with no PPC, they're going to go after the main terms that seem obvious, which everybody are going after, whereas you can be after the terms that nobody else are after. That's 5 to 10 times easier to rank than those terms, and also are 5 to 10 times more profitable. So, it certainly makes sense to go ahead and do PPC for that reason alone. But when you go in to hire the PPC company, if you go in with exactly what keywords you need to rank, what page you need to promote, what to put on the title tags, their work is 80% cut out for them at that point, almost, plus or minus. But that's certainly what you should do. And so it's not a matter of if you want to do PPC or SEO. Why do SEO and also you don't know what your return on investment is going to be from it? So you're going to make that investment into your company. You better be able to plan out what you think you need from your campaign, because when you rank, you're going to have to keep paying the SEO person. It's not going to stay ranked on its own forever. Go in with all that information and make it as easy on you as possible. Cut down on that time it takes to get ranked and or hit the break-even point to as little as possible. And so, basically, the PPC strategy makes you also, obviously, financially prepared for it as well. And so you can take all the learnings plus the money you make from PPC, add in SEO as icing on the cake. You'll be able to use, that'll round out your strategy. Ultimately, for a competitive niche, like especially in e-commerce, half of your revenue from your business eventually, or usually at least 25%, I'd say, 25 to 50%, depending on how it turns out, of your revenue can come from organic. And so that will subsidize your PPC strategy again, and make it so that, everybody else, basically, it's nice to be able to pay twice as much for a visitor and a conversion or sale on your site by having the SEO added in, and then it'll also help scale your PPC strategy as well. A lot of the players that have been in your market for a long time, that if you're wondering why they're able to pay so much, A, it's because they are looking at lifetime value of a customer more and more all the time, but also B, they have organic rankings for being around a long time, and then so going back to them not understanding where their business is coming from, they think it's maybe coming from Google more so than it is, or what have you, and then they just plow more money into the PPC knowing that the organic is coming up, and then therefore they can afford it. And so, so that essentially will help you. SEO strategy then helps your PPC, and your PPC helps you get the SEO going, and you get the best of both worlds from it. So anyway, that's what I would do for my own company. I've started e-commerce companies myself before. That's what I've done. If I were to start one today, that's what I would still do. Just haven't seen over the last 15 years how things have worked with the search ranking algorithm, how things have worked with PPC, the difficulty of things, how things should be rolled out, and pretty much has been consistent for the last 5 years or so about how your particular strategy should pretty much be done, given that SEO has certainly got way harder than it was before, and the potential, and PPC also more expensive, and needing basically SEO to help supplement it in a lot of cases, a lot of markets, which you could certainly do with the data that you get through PPC the way that I explained it. So anyway, good luck to you. Hopefully that this helped you decide if you wanted to do PPC or SEO or in combination, or what, make that final decision to scale your business in terms of your marketing. And let me know if you have any questions. Look out for my next video. I'll be discussing topics just like this every day, and you'll be able to see it on our channel, GuaranteePPC.com.